And I believe, Mr. Palmer, would you do that for us, please?
Most gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you once again. We know that you're all powerful, you're all knowing, and we're glad that we're all here, Father, under the sound of these voices, oh God. We know that all things work together for those that love you and are called according to your purpose, oh God. We thank you, Father, for this Ben Hill County educational system that includes our children, our parents, our faculty, our staff, our administrators, our support staff, our security. We pray you continue to bless them and keep them throughout this summer vacation. Renew their hearts and minds and strength, God, so they can have a better year than last year. We thank you for those that are in attendance, oh God, for coming out and showing their support. Continue to bless them in every way and whatever their needs may be. We thank you right now that everything we do may be pleasing in your sight. It's in Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much. Okay. The floor is open to approve the agenda that was sent out to the board members, I believe Friday.
Motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson, and that was, second was,
Kenneth Palmer.
thank you, Mr. Palmer. All right,
Madam Chairman, before we vote, can we have the discussion real quick?
sure thing.
And I'd like to do it now instead of us having to have a call worksheet about this. Thinking about going into the new year and stuff like that, I would like for the board to think about just the overall agenda information, what's on there, if that's stuff that we all need, or if there's some things that is for the superintendent to do her job, and then if we're need any of that information, she could report it to us.
Now, it's interesting that you brought that up because we were talking about perhaps at our retreat
Yes, ma'am.
that we do need to schedule, that we would talk about making some changes to our board meetings, including, most importantly, adding our children to those
Right.
meetings. And so that would be a good time to
Good.
bring up that discussion as well.
Good.
Thank you. Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve tonight's agenda. Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We have announcements and recognitions.
We closed out the school year. I think we had a really good school year. We had a lot of changes from security to curriculum, just learning some new ways to do things. And we had a great celebration on May 30th with our staff. We had a recognition of our employees of the year in every department. We also had basically school team games, and actually the high school actually won the trophy, and the primary school was the school with the most spirit. They came up on a bus with some kind of music playing, and all their teachers were decked out to the nines, and it was a really good time. I think it helped our culture a lot and
That's good.
formed some bonds that we needed to form, and
That's
we
good.
appreciate everybody's, getting into that, because I didn't know how it'd go over, but we had a really good time, and I appreciate everybody who helped with that.
Well, I'm glad, because we do something at the beginning of school too, right? So that's excellent. Thank you so much. Let's take a look, if the board members don't mind, take a look and review the minutes. I know that there were some corrections needed in the minute. I talked to Debbie earlier today, and we made some of those. And so you probably didn't get them until late this afternoon, but she did make corrections on a couple of things that I want to bring to your attention. Under item 9, new business, page 6, it had down that I voted no. She changed all of those to I voted yes for moving. And we were thinking about stopping the meeting and pausing for a moment, but someone came up with a better suggestion about moving agenda items to the end so that the 2 board members who was attending another important Board of Education meeting could be in attendance for the important vote. And so I would like to state in this meeting that the board really want us to consider, want the administration to consider to not schedule other important board actions and well, I guess they're school exercises at the same time as our regularly scheduled board meetings, which are Tuesday, the second Tuesday of each month normally. So we like to ask the administrators if they would cooperate with us, because we want to be there when our children are doing things like honors night. Okay? And we couldn't do that, but I do thank Mr. Palmer and Ms. Davis for issuing scholarships that night. Thank you. Okay.
Motion to approve the minutes?
Yes, please.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor of approving the minutes with the corrections made, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, public comments to the board. Is there anyone who didn't have an opportunity to sign the form? You wanted to sign? Okay, yes, ma'am. What's your name? I'll put it in myself. Curtis? Okay, first one we got up is Miss Hope Harmon. If you'd like to come on up.
And as Ms. Harmon approaches the mic, just a reminder for public comments, there's a 5-minute time period for each speaker. And we ask that you be cordial in your comments and refrain from naming names of staff or students. And we look forward to hearing from each of you.
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
I want to start tonight by, I know we're not supposed to name names, but I would like to thank Jeremy Cox. He wasn't here the last school board meeting I attended where I thanked him. I thank him because he followed up with me. He followed up with me the last 2 times I came and had things to say, and I know I include you in a lot of emails. I know I do, but I appreciate you for always following up, always getting back with me and seeing if I had a resolution. And I would also like to thank Andy as well, who also followed up with me and asked me was there anything I needed for my oldest son. And so I just want to say thank you for that, because I don't think a lot of things that we have gotten done these last couple weeks would have gotten done without you all's support, and I really appreciate y'all following up with me. So for my comments, I think there needs to be a reminder to a lot of people in our community that we are a Title I school. I see a lot of people, a lot of things being said. And a Title I school is a program that provides federal funds through the Georgia Department of Education to local educational agencies and public schools with high numbers of percentages of children in poverty to ensure that all children meet challenging state academic content and student academic achievement standards. We have a lot of children here living in poverty. It does not matter how they look. It doesn't matter if they have the nicest shoes on, the latest clothes. We have a lot of children here living in poverty. We have a lot of people here who are living with family members. We have a lot of children who are coming to school who are sleeping on the floor. And this is not something that needs to be reported to DFAS or anything because they have somewhere to stay. But we have a lot of children who are coming to school with real adult, real life issues that they're facing at home. And I don't think that sometimes people are understanding of those issues that those children are facing. And you know, I don't care if we have uniforms or not. I'm in a good situation where, you know what, even if I can't afford to buy my 3, I have an auntie and an uncle, and I have family that would be happy and willing to help me purchase my kids' school clothes. But I know everybody is not in the same situation that I am in. And I think that's why it's important that that decisions be made in the time enough manner for parents who have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We have people in our school system that have 8 children and are single parents. So that, you know, and to give them time to actually purchase the items that are necessary. Or even me, I help families buy school clothes during the summer months, and that's fine. I don't mind helping, but we just need to know in enough time so we can make the necessary arrangements. And I also just wanted to know about what happens when a child comes to school you do decide for the uniforms, which I don't care either way, or the street dress code. What happens when a child comes to school because their parents can't afford what's in that line of dressing? Will the school then help that parent? Because I don't know where the social worker is. I don't know where our parent engagement coordinator is. Those are 2 people I can truly say I never see. Never see. So I think that we need to, some of these parents don't fill out these surveys, but you also have a group of parents who come to meetings who are calling me and calling people like Ms. Trotter and calling people like Ms. Daphne in the community and crying in tears saying, I'm coming to these meetings, I don't know what's going on. I'm being told to go to YouTube to find information. I don't even have an email. There are parents who told the school they don't have an email, so how can you get on the parent portal if you don't have an email? If the parent engagement person or the social worker is scared to go to Roanoke, I'll go with you. I'll go with you to Roanoke or Tanner and some of these other communities if that's the case. But I'm telling you, there's parents who really don't know that would like to be engaged. But when you're working from 6 to 6 or from 7 to 7, then you have 4 and 5 kids, the last thing you thinking about is coming to a school board meeting. I'm still looking at being in that situation, and I have a support system that's with me. I also wanted to bring to your attention kids who are being kicked out of school for literally being kids or having a disability that staff doesn't understand. ODD is a real diagnosis that for some reason our school system says is not real. And it's a real medical diagnosis. I don't know why people are telling people that it's not a real thing, but ODD is definitely a real thing. And if you don't know what ODD is, it's oppositional defiance disorder. And it's something that a lot of kids here have, that they're being kicked out of school, even going through MDR meetings and still being kicked out of school because administrators don't understand that diagnosis. And even autism doesn't look the same for every child.
It's time, Miss Hope.
Okay, all right. Well, thank you so much for your time, and I will be sending an email.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Harmon. Okay, I now want to welcome Ms. Trotter, Cortessa Trotter.
Hello, everyone.
Hello. Hi.
I have had the opportunity to be present at some of these retention meetings that the school is having with the children. I have one particular child that stood out to me in the 7th grade, and I will pass this folder around. I have permission from his parent to share the folder with just you guys. I'll pass it around when I get through reading out of it. This child is in the 7th grade. I went to a meeting with him. This child was in Ingenuity. His grades were 4, 4, and 12 was his grades in Ingenuity. If they're struggling in regular class, what do you guys think they're gonna do on Ingenuity? His grades was 65, 50. It's on 3rd grade reading level, 4th grade level for math, and they have him on Ingenuity, which is a self-paced program down at in alternative school. So this particular kid, at his little brother's IEP meeting last year, I requested verbally with the parent, because I was present with the parent, that this child be evaluated. The parent voiced her concerns after her other son's meeting. She voiced her concerns about this child, and no evaluation was done. I got a call from the parent asking me to come to the school because they was trying to kick him out of school for the rest of the year, simply because he was in the alternative room, and he kept getting wrote up. But you put these children out here that are not on their ADHD meds in an alternative classroom, one classroom all day, and expect them to be still, be quiet, do this, do that, and they have these ADHD diagnoses, the ODD diagnosis, autism diagnosis, and then yet we put them on Ingenuity when they can't even pass the regular classroom work. This child has not moved from a level 1 on the milestone. He just got put in tier 3 when we went to this meeting, and he's in the 7th grade with these struggles. So we let him come all the way to 7th grade without catching this. I do want to make a statement about previous meetings where our curriculum director has got up and said that in the small group settings that there are only 5 children. That is not true. There are 10 plus children in these small group settings that's receiving services. It's really not, when it gets to 10 students in these small group sessions, it's not considered a small group anymore, because you got 10 kids with one teacher that's needed to have several different needs. But we have some real issues. Why can't we just get the raw truth? The only way we're gonna fix it is if we get the raw truth instead of doctoring it up and making it look good for when we come to these meetings. There's more than just 5 kids in these small group settings. And because of that, you have kids like this that falls through the crack. They're not getting the services and stuff that they need. There's no reason this child should have been in the 7th grade. During these retention meetings, the same thing. We're retaining these children, and they haven't even made it to tier 3. How is that possible? How are we retaining children that hadn't made it to tier 3? when I go to these meetings, I'm asking, okay, so what interventions have you done to say we're gonna hold this child back? And they can't give me any interventions. Some of the kids were in tier 1 and getting held back. How are you in tier 1 and getting held back? If you're getting held back or you're recommending retention, you should have been in tier 3 receiving tier 3 interventions or possibly getting an evaluation. Please get the staff some training on this MTSS process and the RTI process because we're struggling in this area. I'm coming to these meetings, I'm telling you that's the breakdown. I've had a meeting with the superintendent 2 years ago. That was the breakdown then and it's still the breakdown now. When you have the staff, they don't have the correct training that they need for the RTI, there's no way they can implement it if they are not trained or have proper knowledge of it.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much, Ms. Trotter. Appreciate you coming in. Ms. Curtis, is that right? Oh, you didn't want to speak? Oh, okay. Okay, I misunderstood. Okay, there's no one else that's going to speak before the board. Thank you for showing up. We appreciate those comments. Our superintendent will certainly look into those issues and get back with you about appropriate action that the board may or may not be taking. Okay, we are down to systems report. Consent agenda items 1 through 5. Can we get a motion?
Motion to approve the consent agenda items.
Second.
Okay, first thing we have then is general funds report.
$3,357,745.21.
That's how much money was brought in.
That's our fund equity.
Mm-hmm. And we were just out of balance just a little bit, about $400, so you just waiting on something to come through? Okay, excellent. All right, paid bills report.
Fund 100, we got $2,961,500.40. And in our Fund 151, we have $170,928.31.
Okay, so total expenditures for the month of May coming out to be $3,139,468.71. Thank you so much, Mr. Cons, for bringing us that report. Let's go ahead and go to ELOS. How many pennies did we take in this month?
Okay, a little less than what we have averaged the last couple of years, but we got $230,913.49.
Okay, just a little bit short from our average for the year, which is 2,100, but we okay. All right. All right, good. Facilities report. Who would like to give that to us?
Don't have any questions, information.
Okay. So they're keeping y'all busy. Do you guys work through the summer too to keep the buildings ready and up and going, right? All right. Okay.
Yeah, do all our, HVAC services, whatever we can do when, staff's not in the building.
Okay.
Moving, classroom,
Getting ready. Those summer pass fast now, doesn't it? Do we have any other comments or questions about the facilities report? If not, let's move to the athletic financial report. Thank you so much, Mr. Newell. Do y'all have any questions on the athletic report? One is from the middle school. Which still owes, what is that, $103,000? Okay, and then the high school. And is that figure right there was 103?
We gave them 150, I believe.
Okay. As y'all well know, during the COVID, there were practically no games and no revenue that was made, and so your school board issued a loan to the athletic department to help them get through that time. through that period, and so they're paying it back a little bit at a time. Just for transparency, I like to share that information with you. Okay, we have finished the consent agenda. We had a motion and a second. All in favor of the information that's been presented, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. We got transportation requests. You probably note that there are 2 of them that's out of state. However, we approved those at last month's meeting, and that's for the Monitor children to use a bus to go to the Jacksonville Zoo, and Orlando for the TSA folks. So there are none for us to approve. The board only approves out-of-state travel. Okay? All right, so we're gonna move on down to the Board of Directors meeting for Fitzgerald High School College and Career Academy. Is she here?
No, it's
She's not?
informational. She's a
Oh,
trainer.
okay, there's the report. Would you ask them to do something about that big water? I couldn't read the stuff under there, but,
I got you.
yeah, okay. But, we do have a board of directors that meet over there, and they do a great job, and, they're doing a lot of things over there. I do wanna thank the people that serve on that board, and those are some of the names that you see, that you see there. Okay. Mr. Smith, you ready for the technology report?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Madam Chairman. Get this pulled up here, and we'll dive right in here. So some of our current initiatives, some of these will be complete, obviously, just because of how we trail behind the actual events. But anyway, had a couple live stream events that I believe went very well. For this first one here, obviously it was the big ones, supporting the graduation live stream at the high school. I'd like to give some specific mentions, if that's fine.
Sure.
Brandon House was critical, Peyton Dix was critical, Casey Cross, our AV instructor at the high school was extremely critical, and David Evans, even though I'm not sure he was involved with the stream itself, but he kind of makes a lot of audio stuff work up there. So that was kind of the core team, and they really came together, and I believe put together a very nice production. There were others involved. Some students got in on it from the AV program, so it was amazing. That's one of those things, y'all. Where like you want it to go well, you plan for it to go well, the practice goes well, but you never really know until you get to the end. So
True that.
everything that I saw and heard was that the stream itself was available and worked as expected. So I was very pleased about that.
You didn't by chance get the number of hits on the graduation stream?
I didn't make a note of that, no ma'am, but I'll go back and see if that's available.
Okay. I was just wondering how many people took advantage of watching it that way, because it was a burning hot day.
It was. I'll see if I can find that.
Okay, thank you.
Next, I'll be assisting with the Signdale live stream. I was there just, I wanted to see it and also make sure everything was going good. I didn't really do anything, but it was an incredible event. Dr. Sims, Mr. Gamble, others got up and just talked about the graduating class, and it was really nice. It was moving, really. You could really tell that there were deep, strong relationships there. And that's how can you not be moved by that? Mr. Blaine Jacobs was a big help with that one as well. Kind of a team effort there. We came together and figured that out and got it going the day before. So couple nice big events. We're able to push that out to the public. So I was just really happy about that. Moving on here, completing the end of year device collection and assessment. That's obviously done because we can get that done as the students are going out the door. We're currently doing some of our summer tasks, which this is an example audit employee email groups and site access for all the employees throughout the district, just to make sure that with turnover and transfers and moves and stuff like that, that everything stays aligned to the reality. This next one, we were looking at this for a grant opportunity. It ended up, I don't want to say not making the cut because, all of the stuff that was being considered is important, but sort of ran out of room in the grant in terms of the priority order. But still an interesting topic, one that we're going to continue looking at just because it's a new concept for me and I believe for the department, the school, and the district. So it's going to be important to learn more about this to see if this fits in our security strategy somewhere, because it's very expensive, plus how effective is it? I'm not saying it's not, but how does it work? Do we get the value for the spend? That kind of stuff. So that evaluation process is still going, even though it did not make it into that grant application. Other things did. I mean, the grant application went in. It just that this by the time this got there, the priority is sort of all accounted for. Looking ahead, another thing we do in the summer is complete our technology inventory throughout the district, and then the next one's pretty specific but critical to information security. We're looking at a refresh of our district firewall, and we were fortunate to have this funded through a different grant, but still went through the state where it's going to be fully funded. It's a need, it'll be addressed, and we won't be out of pocket for it. So that's going to be obviously very good for all those reasons.
When we do have our retreat, I'd like to suggest that you bring this last technology, evaluating this gun recognition software stuff, to our safety plan, because we need a full scale look at our safety plan. And we just would like to know a little bit more about that. At the conference, they had some people there talking about putting it in their school. And so, like you said, we don't want, it's certainly worth any one child's life, but we certainly do want to take a look at that and see if we want to add it to our safety plan as well.
Yes, ma'am.
And another question that I have is about E-rate. Are we still qualified?
Oh,
we
yes,
still
ma'am,
get E-rate?
certainly.
Okay.
Now, something to consider for E-rate, just where we're at now, we're at kind of I think we're at the end of it, or a better way to say it, we're at the beginning of the planning for the next window. A lot of our E-rate eligible dollars went into the new high school.
Oh.
So, as you can imagine, that consumed
That took a lot of it.
a big chunk, almost all of our eligible E-rate dollars. So, it's one of those things where you can buy that stuff out of pocket or from other funding sources and use E-rate for other things, but you're still spending the money somewhere,
That's
right? So that's kind of how the current cycle went, and but to your point, we're excited about the next cycle where we don't have a major construction project that those things can go into, which means they can go into other areas.
All right, thank you so much. Anyone have questions for Mr. Smith? Thank you so much. All right, Mr. Webb, would you give us a report on curriculum and instruction, sir?
I want to talk to you about a few things, but one of the things that you got all the House bill stuff, as I made sure you got that. And I wanted you to have an opportunity to see a book that's a very simple way that children can read about how your brain learns to read. And if you want to order this, they're available on Amazon.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Now, that House Bill 538 is being enacted, so this is going to really pump up our pre-K to third grade reading, right?
Well, the great thing,
But we're already ahead of it.
The really great thing about it is because we really saw a problem ahead of time, and we started the year before last, started working toward this. We already had a lot of this stuff in place before the bill was ever enacted and passed into law. But we still have some things we have to do.
Okay.
And so that's what I want to talk about, what we've done and what we still have to do, and what the state still hasn't given us yet. Because we're still waiting on documents from the state to help us implement this effectively and be within their guidelines.
Okay.
But this is what the House Bill 538, also known as the Georgia Early Literacy Act, and it was enacted 4/13/2023. It requires the Department of Early Care and Learning to provide developmentally appropriate evidence-based literacy instruction training requirements for certain child care providers. And that's a little bit vague, but rest assured, if the state has any funding going into a child care facility, those people working there is going to be required to have training.
Excellent.
Requires the State Board of Education to establish a uniform standard for measuring literacy. I still don't have that, and there's been a lot of things going on this year. There's been a lot of compromise. Even in the screeners, they were wanting to get us down to one screener. We're not down to one screener. We're still on the list of screeners that we can choose from. Requires the State Board of Education to approve high-quality instructional materials to be used for teaching students in kindergarten through third grade. We're using Into Reading, which is one that's on the approved list, and it's actually strongly recommended by the state of Georgia. It provides for approval and use of universal reading screeners for all public school students in the state in kindergarten through 3rd grade. We're currently using Acadience. Acadience is on the approved list. It's also on the screening for dyslexia, which satisfies Senate Bill 48. And it's required to be given 3 times a year minimum. We can give the screener more often during the year, and we are planning on using Acadience's progress monitoring tool for our tiered students. It provides for the Department of Education to develop or procure training for kindergarten through 3rd grade teachers on the science of reading, structured literacy, and foundational literacy skills. And it requires all public school kindergarten through 3rd grade teachers in the state to complete such training. And we have a couple of avenues, and one of them is letters through Lexia, which we have 8 of our K-4 teachers, the instructional coach at the primary school, and a reading recovery coordinator in letters training for teachers. And we have 8 of our leaders have completed the first year as well in the 2-year training. These are 2-year trainings. There are 8 leaders, including myself, that's taking letters for administrators. All K-5 certified staff who are not enrolled in letters training will be trained through Georgia Literacy Academy beginning pre-planning of this following year and completing the course, all 10 courses by March 2025. So that's all our certified K-5 staff. Now, the Senate bill, House bill only requires us to do K-3, but we still have students that need the sciences, reading, and those foundational skills in 4th and 5th grade. So anybody who has anything to do with our students is going to be trained.
Quick question right here. I'm sorry to interrupt. Is there an administrative cost? Can anyone else other than teachers take those classes? And the reason that I ask is because we've been harping on how important it is for our preschool children to start learning and reading and taking books to parents and all of that. Is there any way someone else can join this class?
They actually do. Talking about pre-K, Alexia does have letters for preschool teachers.
Really?
So,
Okay.
yes, that is available.
But you have to be a teacher. I couldn't come. I love to read. Okay, okay. You're checking it out for me. But I really was talking about parents too. Parents who are interested. Now, you know, most parents don't want to dabble in our side of the hallway, but if they were able to have some of this information, they could work with their children at home a little bit.
Absolutely.
But they need to know the proper way to do it, so it's not going to counter anything that we're doing on our side.
And that's one thing that you know, we've done a lot of talking. I've talked with a lot of parents, and you know, some of the things that we've done in the past, we know now wasn't the right way to do things, and so we know that now that we really need to be working on you know, connecting sounds to the symbols and the graphemes, and we also need to be working on morphology. We also need to be working on where the word actually came from, which helps students learn how to encode or spell.
Okay.
So there's a lot that goes into this, and we can already tell, even in kindergarten, just walking down the hallways, looking at what they're writing and they're posting on the walls. I can remember several years ago having to walk and read and try to figure out what they were writing. I'm not having to do that anymore.
Excellent.
I can pretty much read everything they're putting in the halls now.
Well, there's
So,
plenty of data to show that children can actually read before they ever walk in the door of the school, even though school is compulsory, only from 6 years old to 16. They can read when they walk in the door if they have some help.
well, reading starts at birth.
Yep.
And we know that. And so there's a lot that goes into it. I also have Lakin Rogers and Melissa Rathron. They'll be completing letters facilitator training next year. So hopefully we'll be able to have in-house training.
Ooh, that'll be good.
Which will make it more affordable for our district.
Excellent. So there is a charge to getting the training.
Well, they still have to have the manuals, and they have to have access to the digital platform.
Okay.
It provides for annual reports by the Department of Education. It requires local boards of education to approve high-quality instructional material for students in kindergarten through 3rd grade and to administer universal reading screeners multiple times a year. You're already ahead of that. You already have into reading, K-5, you have into literature coming for 6-8, and we're probably gonna do into literature all the way to 12th grade. Acadience is also an approved universal screener, and it is administered 3 times a year, and that's a minimum. It requires reports on the results of such screeners to parents of students and to the Department of Education for analysis. Detailed Acadience reports are provided to parents during student-led conferences and sent home attached to report cards.
Excellent.
It requires reading intervention plans for students with significant reading deficiency. We are currently working on that plan. We're also waiting on guidance documents from the state because they say significant reading deficiencies.
What do they mean by that?
Okay, so, we need a lot more, and I talked to Amy Denny, this past Thursday. They were supposed to be completing a document this past Friday, and that document, of course, has to go to the state for approval before they can release it. She's telling me 2 to 3 more weeks we should have that document so we can go ahead and finish these plans. And I sure hope so, because there's not a lot of time in the summer
That's
to
right.
get this ready. Prohibit certain waivers. Basically, we can't waive anything in House Bill 538. That's a real fancy way of saying that. Provides for formative reading assessments for students in 1st and 2nd grades. No state assessment currently exists for 1st and 2nd grade, but we definitely will see it implemented because House Bill 538 requires the state to report out their first report April 1st, 2026.
Okay.
So it's coming. We're gonna have some type of assessment in those grades. It requires the Professional Standards Commission to revise standards for acquiring and maintaining teacher certification in teaching fields, including requirements regarding developmentally appropriate evidence-based literacy instruction. And it requires the Professional Standards Commission to ensure students completing teacher certification programs have the knowledge and skills to actually teach reading. It also provides for the definitions of everything in the House bill. It provides for legislative findings and its intent. It provides for a short title, which we have, and it repeals all conflicting laws.
Good.
So any other laws that conflict with House Bill 538 are off the books now. I also wanted to tell you that, we're in L4GA system, and we receive grant money, and some of that money gets spent, Birth to 5, it also gets spent, getting materials out to the public and to moms and dads and try to help, get more people reading, because we want to see people reading all the time. And we always get enough. We have a few extra. If you'd like to take some time and look at what K1 and 2,
Okay.
they have 10 books each. They have QR codes, and they can scan those codes, and they have access to videos and activities that they can dig into.
Excellent, excellent.
And I also have elementary, there's 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade. They have their books, colored pencils, activity sheets, all kinds of stuff that they can do this summer. They have them.
They have it.
If they've already gone home. So if somebody doesn't have one, get in touch with the school. They still should have a few of these.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you so much.
Also, I'd like to say that the Peach Tax Credit grant that we use for this literacy program, which purchased Into Reading and these books that you see for all K-5 students, that was part of our Peach Tax Credit funding, was to get the reading program and to provide these books and resources for students in the summer.
Thank you, thank you.
Also,
And Mr. Webb, thank you and your team so very much for being proactive and getting us a little bit ahead of this House bill so that our kids can have the best possible advantage.
We got some school districts around us that just started the first of next year. They got to do all this.
They got a
in 1
lot
year.
to do, yeah. Well, at least we're ahead of the game, and I thank you so much for that, sir. Excellent. Now, let me just make sure I understand. You say I could have these?
Yes.
I know some kids I need to talk to. All right. let's go now. We've finished our curriculum, and that's everything on the consent agenda, and we need to now move into new business, which is superintendent's new business. And the first thing we want to do is talk about the Hurricane Transition Academy.
Yes, ma'am. We made a decision as a team to close the HTA. It wasn't an easy decision, but it is on a designated list as a failing school. We didn't feel like students were getting the wraparound services that they needed there. Plus, to fund the school, we put a lot of local money into that, and it is a place that we could cut some funding. We do have 5 schools. That was our 6th school, serving around 70 students. Some come to school, some don't, which I know that there's different needs for kids. All these kids are not there because of discipline. They were there because they had a special need or a special circumstance. There was an alternative school there called Options that is under the high school. And that is where those students who were sent there by tribunal or a waiver for behavior problems, they were under Options. So students at HTA, there's a misconception that they were gang members. But I want to put that to rest, because students at HTA were students who had special needs. They needed a different environment, they needed a smaller environment. But we just can't sustain that when we have a high school with all the wraparound services you could ever need, with already has credit recovery in place, that will work through the RTI process with a parent. If a student needs to be online at home, there's nothing we can't do now because we have instruction in the classroom through cameras. We are hoping to get an agreement with Discovery Comprehensive High School tonight, after, if the board chooses to go with this request, that they would serve our students through a new collaborative with Godot. And we would have school for some students from 4 to 8 at night, 2 days a week. They would be online as well. They do have counseling available. They have mentors available. They have they're using Edgenuity just like we would. But this is something that's funded by the Georgia Department of Education. They invested $5 million into this school to become a specialty school. It used to be called, there's 2, Foothills Charter High School and Coastal Plains High School. This is just a mimic of that, but there will be one established in all the zones around the state. They chose our zone because there's so many students who do drop out in Southwest Georgia and South Central Georgia. And the main objective of this school is to get students graduated. But we can also have this school there to put some of our students who have different needs, who might be working for their families, who might have a child who can't come at 9 o'clock in the morning, or 7:30 in the morning, or 7:15 in the morning. There's different options for all students. This educational system you're seeing now is all comprehensive. It is not just a cookie cutter. And we have to help parents understand that the cookie cutter model is gone. A lot of people complain about, why do we have so many students in the 11th and 12th grade that aren't at the high school all the time? Well, it's because them and their parent and the parent and the student choose to do dual enrollment. And when you choose to do dual enrollment, it is a college course. And we don't always see those students on campus like we used to. The old way of school is gone forever. COVID changed school.
Yeah.
And so we have to adapt to where we are with COVID, for the aftermath of COVID. So we don't have the resources to continue to have 6 schools in our district. This specialty school will serve at-risk students as a program for our school district under the high school, and as a LEA, which is a local educational agency for students who are 18. We sent them a list of every 18-year-old who's dropped out in our district for probably the last 2 or 3 years. They can come to this school. They can come to this school. They can go to school for free. They can get their high school diploma, and then move on with a high school diploma. We can't serve students who are 21 years old in our district. But this school will, but it'll also serve our other at-risk students that we have. So I'm asking the board to request approval to close the HTA.
I do want to point out, if you would, that HTA is no fault of the staff or the administrator, Mr. Curtis. They did have
29
a lot of success.
They did.
29 graduates, that's right.
Graduates this year.
But just like everything else needs to transition, we're going to
Madam
move.
Chairman, Just so we're following protocol and rules, let's go ahead and make a motion
Okay.
in a second before we have discussion. I'll
Hold
make a
on, just
motion.
hold on 1 second, please. I just want to finish my statement. We are thinking about the need to make this transition is to better the academic situation for our students, and that's all we're trying to do, make that motion. Thank you.
Motion to accept the recommendation of the superintendent to close the Hurricane Transition Academy.
Second.
Again, like I said, I want to point out that has nothing to do with at fault for the staff and the administrators that ran that school. They did an excellent job
And
for
to
us.
address the issue of the options, alternative disciplinary, where will that be held? Because that's some of the concerns that I've heard.
Options, if a student is, transitions to options, they will be online at home. We can no longer let students who are having behavioral issues that we can't control out inside of our school, in our schools. Have you seen what's happened in the community over the last year? It's changed a lot. Well, can we still support these students? Yes, we can, and we will. But there will be, students who are transitioned to options will be online. They all have a tablet. They can all do the coursework online. They can call the options teacher. If they need something reset, they can get it reset. If they need extra help, we'll have to figure it out. But that's what we do. We figure it out for people.
Because we're not trying to leave any children behind.
And we're not.
We're not giving up on kids.
So Dawn, with the options, that teacher, is that a local?
Yes.
That's one of our teachers?
That's one of our teachers. And we'll probably have a few of our teachers at, if they get hired, because we don't have to hire the teachers for Discovery Comprehensive High School, but we do have some teachers that have applied to work there in the night program. So it, it could be somebody that they know too. So that would be good as well. They make great relationships there.
We do.
The question that I had about the, let's just go ahead and prove. I think that's really gonna come up next when we're talking about, let's do the Transition Academy first. Closing the Transition Academy. The motion has been made, it's been seconded. Any other comments about it? All in favor of doing this very difficult thing, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Now your request,
The second request is request approval of a collaborative operating agreement between Ben Hill County Schools and the Georgia Department of Education for Discovery Regional High School. Ms. Sawyer has looked at this. She approved it. She made some changes and they accepted them without cause. And, this is, one of the things that this does is it takes some of our FTE for some of the students who would go to the program. But it's a minimal, it's $6,500 per student, which, is minimal if you can help support a student
Sure.
with our FTE. And so they will bill us for this, but they'll probably be a swish swash because
Yeah.
they're gonna be leasing our science wing at the old HTA.
somebody wanna make a motion to accept the recommendation?
I'll
of
make
the
the motion,
superintendent?
Madam Chairman.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, I have a question. This wish wash, let's go back to that. So are we still gonna get the money from the FTE for the
Yes.
student in order for us to pay the
Yes.
Discovery
Yes,
School?
ma'am.
Okay.
They'll just be they'll be under a program at the high school, which we get funding for that program.
So it'd be just like the HTA was, where your
It's like
FTA.
options too.
Right.
It's a program as well. We still get money for them as well.
So would this be an ongoing program, or is this just a pilot? They just
No,
testing
this
something
will-
out?
The state, like I said, they allocated $5 million for this school, and they're gonna get one in every district. And we have like 7 districts who are, gonna have a site, and some will have a satellite site. Osilla's gonna have a site, let's see, Osilla, Albany, Early, there's a few more, I can't remember them all.
So with that done, will other students in our area come to
They
our
can.
Discovery School?
They can, like, if Turner didn't have one, Turner kids could come here. Irwin kids could come here if they didn't have enough people.
Would that
in
affect
their
your
program.
FTE any?
No, it won't affect
Okay.
theirs, because it just goes directly to Discovery High School.
Okay.
So you don't have any way of knowing how many students we're expecting
No.
to take
This is
advantage of
like,
this?
we're flying the plane, getting it ready in the middle of the,
Okay.
it's kind of,
So you've already shared with us my other question about how many schools are participating in this program. Well, we're very lucky to have you on that board, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And you serving on that board, and so we'll have all that information
Yes,
ahead
ma'am.
of time as well.
sure.
And that makes a big difference. Thank you for your leadership.
Yes, ma'am.
We have a motion and a second.
I have a question.
Okay, yes, ma'am.
Dawn, just because our community is here, can you explain the difference in what the HTA was servicing kids and what this school is gonna do? I know you said the wraparound services,
The
but
wraparound services that we cannot support at HTA, such as the counseling, the mentoring, you know, just different things that they can bring in, like speakers, work ready, things of that nature, that is just part of the school. That's what it's for. It's to, you know, even go on college tours, go to work, the workforce and tour, and even possibly get some companies to come in and interview these students after they do finish their diplomas to do those things. So
Excellent.
it's a really good program. It came from Coastal Plains and Foothills Charter. They had a lot of money. The state didn't like that. In their fund balance, they had like $30 and $40 million in their fund balance because they were, you know, getting all this FTE but didn't have anything to spend it on. So I think the state took some of that and is allocating it for these other things as well. So I think it'll be a good program. I think it's going to take a little while to get it all, you know, straight like they want it. But we have a superintendent, we have a CFO, we have a technology person we're outsourcing right now. And it just takes a little bit of time to get a brand new school off the ground.
And we'll have data to prove whether it's working or
Yes,
not.
ma'am.
And will those FTEs and high school graduation come to us?
Yes, ma'am.
That information?
All of that comes to us. They'll all graduate from Fitzgerald High School.
Excellent.
Except the ones who are 18, they'll graduate from Discovery Comprehensive High School.
Got it. So are you saying that if we have people in the community who need to come back and try to apply, they can actually go to this school?
Yes, ma'am. They would just have to get the information and contact our site coordinator.
Okay, excellent. Excellent opportunity. Did we vote?
No.
All in favor of approving the recommendation for us to go into this agreement with Discovery Schools signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. That sounds like an exciting new adventure. Okay. Oh, student handbooks. All right.
I'll make a motion that we approve the handbook for the 24-25 school year with the changes that have been made. I'm guessing that those that we saw highlighted
Yes, sir.
through this were the main changes that we needed to take a look at. And I'm sure the dress code is probably what a lot of people are
Yes.
interested in. If you don't mind kind of telling us about that.
You made the motion?
Yes, ma'am.
Got a second.
We appreciate, first and foremost, the parent input on the handbook. It was very interesting to read the comments that we got the second time. I wanted to look at this because I've heard that a lot from a lot of people. We need uniforms. Why can't we go to uniforms? Well, we can't go to uniforms unless our community accepts that as part of, you know, our school culture. We have had a lot of violence in our community. I think that's where a lot of this came from. Will uniforms fix that? The consensus of the principals and I, after we met and went over everything, was that dress code's not gonna stop gang violence. And we are trying to really think about it from a parent perspective. And after reading all the comments about the cost, you know, to the families, why are we doing this based on a few people? You know, why should we punish all of our students for, with a dress code so strict and so stringent and a uniform when we have a dress code that's been working for us this year? So I wanted to get the data because, you know, without data, I can't make an informed decision. So it was a consensus of the principals and myself that we will keep the same dress code for next year. In the future, this might be addressed at a different time. I think, you know, there's a lot of high emotions running in our community right now based on some things that have happened, and it makes you think about a lot of things. You know, when I look at our schools from June of last year to August of this year, when we start again, they'll look very different than what they did. We have metal detectors, we have more cameras, we're gonna have another SRO at the high school. You know, we have so much invested in safety that I don't think that uniforms will make much of a difference. Do we have to enforce it more appropriately? Yes, we do. we have to have consistency among our staff, and our administrators. We can't have special favorites. I understand this community. I'm from here. I was in poverty as a child. I came from a single parent household. I understand it. You know, the only reason I'm sitting here is because I was educated, and I had an expectation that there would be an education. Can we get it right all the time? No, but we get it right a lot of the time. And I'm gonna defend our teachers and our staff because they come here every day to do what's best for our kids. Is it always right? Probably not. But is it a bad heart toward a student? No. Are we trying to make students be, you know,
Gang members.
failures? No. A lot of stuff starts at home. Strictness, knowing where your child is, learning how to read at an early age. You know, all the things that Mr. Webb talked about. Our state is telling parents how this school is going to teach your child how to read. But reading starts at the time the child's conceived through it's choices of parents. Do you have prenatal care? Do you do all the things that will help support this child through the beginning? We do have a lot of students with disabilities. We have over 400.
Is that more than 10%? Yeah, that's more than
That's
10%
more
of
than
our
10%.
population.
It's about 15.
Normally, it's about 10%.
So, you know, I understand what Ms. Trotter's saying and Ms. Harmon are saying. I get it. I have a nephew with Down syndrome. I understand every bit of it. And he gets everything he needs. Can we do better? Yes. We started MTSS training this week with our administrators. We're starting it in July with everybody else. It takes time. It takes time to move a boat. We're not pulling it with a tug, we're pulling it with a rope. And when you're dealing with students and parents and 3,000 people and 6,000 parents, it's slow. It's a slow process. But we're gonna get it right. I hope you won't lose confidence in us. We've suffered a lot over 7 years. We did a lot of things that we shouldn't have done. We made a lot of decisions that we shouldn't have based on academics. We're trying to fix those things. But it does take time, and I appreciate your feedback. I love our teachers, I love this community, and we want to do what's best for you all, not what's best for us. We're not in it for that. We're in it to make things better for everybody. So we're not changing the dress code. We will have clear book bags pre-K through 12. Our school times will be the same, except for the middle school is going to push their day back to 2:55, and we won't have the HTA. But other than that, our handbook's pretty much the same. But we did put in a dress code for prom and dances because we needed that.
Yes, I was gonna have you
Right.
address that real quick too, just so the community realizes that when they go out to shop for homecoming or for prom, that there is some expectation there. And there again, there's just culture.
It
I mean, if we set those standards for our students to uphold, we need to be sure that the administration's upholding them. So appreciate you on that.
But I do want to also explain that I know what the poverty is here. The reason I know is because I get grants for Hurricane Health Clinic. We're getting another one at the high school. We have mental health services through Mercer and through our health clinics. We have people trying to do everything they can with the limited resources that we have. So if there's something else you think that you can help us with, let us know. We're here to meet your needs. We're your servant. We're at your service, basically. We're a service provider. And we appreciate everything this board's done to support us, and we'll continue to do our best every day for our boys and girls.
Actually, what we would like to do with our parents in our community is partner with them. We shouldn't be working against each other. We should be partnering together for the future of these children. And that's what you've been doing. Thank you very much, Donna, for your help in that. Okay, so that's the only changes that's made in the handbooks. And of course, we would like it if everybody read the handbook. I know it's a little intense, but make sure they do, especially before they go spend their very limited dollars on school clothes and then find out that you got something that they're not going to be able to wear to school. Okay, so with that being said, all in favor of approving the recommendation for the Ben Hill County agenda book and student handbook, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Motion to approve the 24-25 Ben Hill preschool handbook.
Second.
Any discussion on that? Hearing none, all in favor of the recommendation for the preschool 24-25 handbook, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, we're looking at our tentative budget for fiscal year 25. Natalie, what can you tell us? Did you find some money?
I did.
Good.
Just a few changes from the last time we met. Our final QB allotment sheet came out, so that came in a little higher than originally anticipated. And also I reached out to our local county assessor, a tax assessor, and kind of projected a little bit of tax revenue up. It was a little bit under budget, so I adjusted that number as well. So those are the two changes that are
So
in
even
this
with all
budget.
the homestead exemptions, we still were able to get a little bit more?
Yes, last year's budget was a little more, so I went off of last year's collections.
Okay, excellent. Okay,
We have a balanced budget.
We do.
Amen.
and that's showing expenditures being at $36,931.
We're barely.
What is that?
We're barely
36
balanced.
We're barely,
Yeah, we're barely.
$36,931,195. Okay. Whew, that's close. Okay. I need,
I'll make a motion that we accept the tentative budget as given by the CFO.
Second.
any other questions? And this will run in the newspaper for,
It's already ran.
it's already ran? Okay,
It
so we
ran
good to
for
go?
1 week and it was posted on our website.
Okay, so now we can go ahead and approve.
Yes, ma'am, this is for the approval.
All in favor of the budget for fiscal year, the projected budget for fiscal year 25, signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Budget approved. Thank you, Natalie, and your team for the work that you guys put in to get that together for us. All right. There's a request here for GSBA Assembly software subscription renewal. I make a motion that we do take this recommendation for that. And why it seems costly, $13,600, this is something we just simply cannot do without. It makes the board much more efficient and effective, and so I make the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor of GSBI Assembly software for $13,600, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, we also have a request from Georgia School Board Association. It is time for us to pay our dues. As y'all know, many may not know that Teresa serves as our District 13 Georgia School Board Association Director, and we do appreciate your service. And so we are a member of Georgia School Board, and we want to remain a member, $8,226. Is there a motion on the floor?
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Palmer. All in favor of approving the recommendation for membership, Georgia School Board Association for $8,226, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. All right, let's look at the policies Georgia School Board Association sends us. It keeps Ms. Sawyer updated on everything that's going on and the changes that's being made, our local attorney. So that is the policy alert. It's only $750. The floor is open for a motion.
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion about the policy update and alert system that we get? They keep us updated with what the legislators have changed and what they do in those 45 days that they come up there to Atlanta so that we can make whatever changes we need to make in our policies. All in favor of the motion for recommendation of approving Georgia School Board policy update and alert system, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. All right, we're down to Georgia School Board Summer Conference. Let me see. The board had the opportunity to attend the Georgia School Board Training and Conference on June 5th through the 8th in Savannah. It consisted of a one-day workshop where we actually have to get 6 hours credit to be on the school board. and 2 days with a variety of speakers that come and talk to us and update us on what's going on, not only with the legislator, the law, but also community engagement. So we'll give you a short report on that. Also, we take care of the business of the delegate assembly, so that tells the legislators what our priorities are. David, Kenneth, and I attended the policy workshop, and Teresa attended the community engagement. Tyler also attended via the internet through Hoover. And so who would like to give a report on community engagement? Ms. Davis, would you like to?
Yeah, and I would like to say attending these conferences are so important because we have people that present to us that are knowledgeable and they are into education. Sometimes it's a former superintendent of a school. So it's not just somebody that just coming in there, you know. It's somebody that's very knowledgeable of what they present to us. So I had the opportunity to attend, well, it was actually best practices, and we talked about transparency. We had 3 different school systems to come and present to us, and those 3 school systems were the 3 districts that were selected for governance team of the year. So it was Dodge County, Baldwin County, and Henry County. And so they gave us some very good information about being transparent in our board meetings, in our community. So that was the reason why we were trying to be more specific in what we say, and that was one thing that they were talking about. When we talk the education language, we know what we're talking about, but we have to talk so that everybody can understand what we're saying. So we gotta be careful how we use jargon and different things because everybody don't know what we're talking about. So that's very important. And I also had a chance to attend the delegate assembly, and this one thing comes up every single year, and it came up this year. Some school districts, I don't know if everybody is aware or not, but our school district is nonpartisan. Mm-hmm. And nonpartisan means we don't declare a party. We don't declare that we're Democrats or Republicans. We're nonpartisan. And I would like to think that we're nonpartisan because we want to represent everybody. Mm-hmm. So, but we have some school districts that do declare a party. And it comes up every year when we have a delegate assembly because Georgia School Board Association, which is the GSBA that we're using those terms, they support nonpartisan because they do say that we need to represent all children. We don't have to declare a party. Well, there are some school districts that want to declare a party. So each time we have a delegate assembly, they come and they want us to change it because they want to declare a party. But thankfully, most of the people that are represented in that meeting, they feel the same way. They feel that we don't need to declare a party because we don't need to say we're Democrat and we want to serve the Democrats, or we're Republicans, we want to, you know. They just saying we're here for everybody, and the majority always wins, but we still have people that come back every year because they want us to declare a party. So thankfully, like I said, the majority always win, that the party doesn't matter. And I think the school boards that are nonpartisan, that's really the way they feel. They feel that we represent everybody and we don't have to declare a party.
Exactly. Thank you so much, Ms.
Yes,
Davis.
ma'am.
Mr. Garrison, do you have something that you would like to add?
Yeah, she pretty much hit on it.
She hit it?
I sat in on that that delegation meeting. It was the first time I've done that, so it was very interesting. And yeah, and like she said, to see when she says majority, usually agrees with the nonpartisan, it's a huge majority. I mean, it's only like 3 or 4 votes.
Yeah, it was like 3 people that voted for want to declare a party, but I think the number that didn't want to was probably 80 people or more.
Can you see a kindergartner coming in and saying, I need to be in the Republican class or the Democratic class? No, I just don't see that. Our kids are our kids, and we're going to try to educate them. Thank you guys so much for attending that. And then we attended legal with lots of coffee. And anybody want to give a report on something that came out of the legal?
Well, just
general?
we had a wonderful speaker. He's always he's a lawyer by profession, Mr. Phil Hartley, And he was just talking about the new regulations and bills that have passed or the bills are coming forward. Of course, the biggest one, I guess, is the voucher that's going forth. He talked about the homestead tax and that, so there's something coming, I guess, with that. And he just talked about new regulations that are taking place. But things are happening, and a lot of times, with these bills, they've already passed, and sometimes they're not always in the best interest of people, because people don't pay attention to them, and once they pass, we just have to react rather than being proactive. A lot of times we're reactive, and he was just talking about some of the things, I guess, that that may have some effects, be it positive or negative. So we'll have to deal with that when it comes.
And just to emphasize that voucher bill that they passed, you can go ahead and get ready. It's your pocketbook. The money that you was put in public education is not going to pay for parents who want to put their children in private education, and they're going to take the money from public schools to make that happen. We fought that thing for over 20 years. This year, it passed. So we will be dealing with that, which Natalie means another little short.
No, it only passed off the backs of teacher raises.
Yeah.
It was in the same bill as teacher raises.
Yeah,
and people
they
didn't
wrapped
wanna
it
go
together.
against teacher raises, so.
Give you money
they
with one
passed.
hand and take it with the other. Yeah, absolutely. We also, you guys, had some great keynote speakers, so I do want to point out too. Can you do Mr. Chuck Underwood for me first?
Yes, ma'am.
He is in generational imperative. Is that right? Chuck is the host of the TV series on PBS that talks about American generations. And y'all, why this is so very important for us to understand is because it impacts not only our school system, but our workplace. It impacts even your family dinners sometimes, because different generations have different core values, and we think about things in different ways. If you think there's a division with us politically, you'll be very surprised to find out the difference that's between us. Right now we have 6 generations that are in the workplace. What did he say? He said something about we have way more older folks than you think. Anyway, but board members I thought was interesting for that first generation. That he talked about is 13% of people who serve on boards who are grandparents and older, and that's just the way it is. But to understand those differences and what's valuable to everybody, education-wise, it's still pretty steady, and the data is how we get that education and how it's being changed on how we deliver the education. No, grandma don't know how he gonna go online and get to work. But our teachers will have cameras in their room. They'll also have microphones on where they can deliver those classes without the child being actually present in a 4x4 room.
One thing I gather from it, I guess, is just that with all the generations, everybody learn and operate differently.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes what happens is that because of my generation, I may try to apply the same methods, rules, and norms, but this new generation, they're totally different. And with employment and with education, you have to be able to understand those norms and be able to operate according to it. Because if you're as parents, you see it in your children, you see it in your grandparents and great grandparents. They all operate different. It's not wrong. It's just that's what they're used to, and we have to be able to change our focus to meet them, where they are, instead of trying to force upon them how we've done things. It's not always, it's no longer, I think, like Don said, the status quo. We've got to meet people where they are because they have different norms. The culture is different, expectations are different. So that's one of the things I guess I gathered from this generational workshop that he did.
Yeah. It was pretty good. How many people in this room, raise a hand, how many people in this room did drills where you had to climb under your desk because we thought we was going to be hit by an atomic bomb? Okay? Mm-hmm. Now, how many people in this room are having to go to school and do the walk through the metal detector? I never did it before. But see, now we're doing it. So that's what we're talking about, generational breakdown. It covers everything, and this was pretty good workshop. He has a book for sale if y'all want to read it. Let's go to our second guest. Y'all may be more familiar with him since he's from Snellsville, Georgia, and he is actually played for the University of Georgia as a linebacker, and he is Rennie Curran. He was a great motivational speaker on our last day there. This is the kind of man that you want to put in front of our students so he can tell them how he became a player for the Buccaneers, is that what they call Tampa Bay? His family was foreign. They were immigrants into this country. He came here. He's way too small to be a football player, too short, too little. And that's what he was told, but nothing stopped him. Where he came from did not define where he was going. And so this was a most interesting speaker. He talked about one team, one dream, and he talked about how board members need to work together to make sure that we're looking out for the future of children. He didn't have a bunch of ego going on. He was very relaxed. I would love, is Becky here? I wish CIS or somebody would work together to get him to come here and talk to our kids, especially since we do have this little atmosphere going on about I need to be a member of something, and so I'm going to try to be gangster rather than do the very best I can for me and my family. And I think he would be a great role model for them to listen to and find out a little bit. He got a book too. His book is Free Agent, in case you want to pull that up on Audibles. Okay, anything else from Georgia School Board Association? Anybody want to report anything? Okay, let's move on. Verification, you got all our training down so that we can send that information?
You have the form you need to sign. Yep. I have to send it in tomorrow. I'll have to call Mr. Clemens to come by.
We just need to sign it, no vote?
No vote, just
Okay.
verify it, and I'll go in with the Zipper board stuff.
Okay, I will pass this around. All right, thank you very much. And then we need an approval to move the monthly meeting. Is there a reason we're moving the monthly meeting from July the 9th, and you're suggesting that we have it on July the 11th, which is a Thursday night, and y'all, that'll be next month?
That's because we're coming off of the July 4th weekend.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Everybody's basically takes vacation, so it's hard to get it all
Yeah.
done.
Okay.
Motion to approve the meeting be moved from July the 9th to Thursday, July the 11th, 2024.
And we have a second. Any other comments? Let's
What's
make-
the reason we can't move it to the next Tuesday?
I think it was because we'll have to hire teachers, and new teacher orientation will be the
Oh.
following week.
Yeah, we have everything coming in at the same
I'll put
time.
an agenda out on that Monday.
Okay, cool. All right, any other comments or statements, questions? All in favor of moving our next meeting from July 9th, 2024 to Thursday, a Thursday night, July 11th, 2024? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Of course, that'll give plenty of notice to the newspaper and the posting and everything that we have to do legally. All right, excellent. Thank you. All right, upcoming events. Folks, you just seen we changed that meeting to July the 11th for our next regular meeting. We got the local board governance training requirements that we got to get in by June the 30th. And that's what we're signing off and sending around our verification of training. Every school board member has to have at least 12 hours of training a year. We usually get 6 hours in Savannah and then 6 hours in Atlanta, but they also give us some online. So some of us got maybe 25 hours and some got more or less. So long as you got 12. Personal finance disclosure report. I don't know if you guys read your text. I called the Board of Elections today and got the address, the new link. So please use that. Make sure that you do it before the end of the month. Unless you are rich, you will pay $50 a day for every day it's late.
Well, if we just ran, do we have to do one too?
I think you do it.
You did it before you.
Yeah.
You did it.
You already did it,
You already
yeah.
prepared yours for the year.
Yeah, so it's just what, it's just the three of us that didn't run.
I did mine.
Yeah, we don't have any.
We paid
Four of
it.
y'all, the four of y'all.
The four of us, that's right, the four of us. So I need to make sure, yeah, I did, I sent it to Tyler, I sent it to everybody. Okay, good. Exemplary board application is due by Friday the 26th, July 26th at 5 p.m. Winter conference for Atlanta. The Renaissance Waverly in Atlanta will be a little different this year. Instead of the first week of December, it's going to be December the 11th through the 13th. Double digits. Make sure you mark your calendars for that event. And we have teacher orientation that's coming up. That open house, you don't have any dates on that?
I gave an attachment, it's
Okay.
attached to that.
Okay.
I gave y'all a printout.
All right.
of
All that
the
information.
dates.
Gotcha. Oh, there it is. So you can see those dates for pre-planning, open house at each school and our pre-K and transportation, open house for our staff, first day of school, and the times of those school openings. We'll make sure we get that out to the public. Okay. We've gotten down to executive session. Is there a cause to go into executive session? We have school recommendations.
Only down to the contract.
I'm sorry, say that again.
Does that have to be an executive session?
As I said, we wouldn't have to go in there for that. We approved basically that last meeting. We just ratified it.
Yeah, we're ratifying that.
Just ratifying the change.
Okay, okay. So if there's no need to go into executive session? Yeah. Okay, so recommendations?
Madam Chair, I'd like to recommend Leanna Stevens, Ben Hill primary teacher, Jessica Atkinson, Ben Hill primary child nutrition worker, Lakin Cromer, Ben Hill elementary child nutrition worker, Lacuria Hicks, Ben Hill elementary child nutrition worker, Antonia Pearson, Ben Hill middle child nutrition worker, Laverne Harris, FHSCCA child nutrition worker, Linda Ewing, Ben Hill middle school social studies teacher, and Taylor Henderson, school volunteer for girls soccer.
Do I-
Make a motion to accept the recommendations of superintendent.
Second.
And we have a second. Any questions? Hearing none, all in favor of the recommendations made by the superintendent for new hires, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Excellent. Your action items at the bottom, we don't have to do anything with those.
Yeah, we gotta do something on that one.
That's an action item.
The increase.
My contract.
No, the Ashley Parr.
Alicia Parr.
There's one on Miss Parr that was added.
Oh, I'm sorry. Diane Lott, transfer to BHMS art teacher to BHMS special education teacher.
No, ma'am.
No,
No.
look on the screen, it's probably not.
Oh, I'm
There it
sorry.
is right there.
You already approved the recommendations, so I mean. you know,
Well, we
you-
did improve the entire recommendation, she
you-
just didn't read that
Yeah.
out. So is that a problem?
Alicia Parr.
Okay, so we don't have to take a vote on it,
Yeah.
but just so the public can know for transparency? Okay.
Isn't it? We don't have to approve it, it's an increase.
Okay, Alicia Parr, action item position, continued for FY '25 with an increase in FTE days and salary, increase of 200 days for FY '25 and a gross of $35,000. Salary and benefits will be covered by communities and schools in Fitzgerald, Ben Hill County.
Okay.
Fitzgerald, Ben Hill
Well, that sounds like a different recommendation to me.
Motion.
All right, motion and a second?
You already approved it.
I know. We approved the first half of it, but this is a little bit different.
That
Let's
was
see.
the whole thing.
You think it's the whole
Yeah,
thing?
it's the whole thing.
How do you feel,
It's all in
She
attorney?
didn't call her name out.
It's all action.
Was it all together?
It's
Yeah, it's
all
all
together.
Was it part of the prior motion?
Yes, it just wasn't read out.
She told me to just read that.
Yeah,
I mean, if
and
it
we
was
just,
approved, if it
yes.
was part of the prior motion,
Yeah,
it's been
so
approved,
it's
Excellent.
just read it out.
Okay,
She read
excellent.
it out.
All right, fine. So it has been approved. Resignations? Thank you, thank
I'm
you.
sorry, who seconded the motion?
And Jeremy, Jeremy.
Okay.
So we got two of them.
Action item. Accept the resignations.
Action item.
Resignations are informational.
they're informational, but it says action item.
It's just listed wrong on
Yeah,
the agenda.
It should be informational, so that's an error.
Yeah, information on it.
You wanna go ahead and say who sent in their resignations, in particular because we're losing, how many, 4 or 5 special ed teachers?
Barbara Jones, Catherine Hallman, Marissa Reynolds, Candace Powers, Jerome Danner, Jessica Jackson, Kenya Harris, Sabitha Menon, Dylan Wyndham, Kimberly Prather, and Jared Rickman.
Okay. And how many of those are special education teachers we're losing?
1, 2, 3, 4.
4.
4 of them, and not counting the parapro. Don't we have a parapro in there
Yes,
too?
ma'am, Ms. Hallman.
Okay. All right, personnel transfers.
We have one action item. Eunice Stewart will transfer, Heather Matz will transfer, and the action item is Miss Diane Lott, transfer from middle school art to middle school special education.
The floor is open for a motion.
Motion.
Second.
Any questions about that recommendation? All in favor of the superintendent's recommendation for the personnel transfer signify by saying aye. Excellent. Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay.
Madam Chairman, first of all, with this, do we need to have a acting secretary since this is her contract?
You can just appoint.
Okay, so I'll make a motion that we appoint Ms. Debbie Sandifer as the acting secretary.
Excellent. That was a motion?
Yes, ma'am.
I second. All in favor of Debbie being the acting secretary for the board at this time signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, with that being done,
Madam Chairman, I make a request that we approve the ratification of the First Amendment to the contract of the employment of superintendent. And what that is saying is that at the last meeting, we voted to give Dawn her bonus for her good evaluation. For her positive evaluation. It was $1,500, I think, and she had asked for that lump sum, and we all agreed on that. So this is just to ratify that amendment to her contract.
that is correct. And second. All in favor of ratifying that approval that we gave for the one-time bonus supplement to our superintendent signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Is there any other business before the Board of Ed tonight?
Y'all
If-
sign.
Okay. Nope, meeting is adjourned. Thank you so much.